Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our Python website development webinar. Um, Let us jump right into it. Today, we're talking about Python and website development. Python is one of the popular high-level object-oriented programming languages like Java, C#, Python, and many more. So just for your information, high-level programming languages are those languages that are closer to human understanding. And by human understanding, we mean the native human language. Remember, the computer understands zeros and ones, whereas a human being, on the other hand, understands what we call higher-level languages, like the ones mentioned above. So Python allows us to develop both mobile and web-based applications. It's mostly used for back-end programming, for as a back-end programming language. Currently, it's one of the most popular technologies, and it's highly demanded by most employers. This signifies that if one is very good in Python programming language, he or she is likely to get employed and even more. This therefore means that Python is a must-learn programming language. In this webinar, we will be learning the first basic part of Python to create a simple website using the Django framework. Some uses of Python. So Python is used for creating websites, creating web applications, mobile applications, as well as for data analysis. So what do you need in order to learn Python? Well, you need a basic understanding of HTML. You also need basic knowledge of CSS and a fair knowledge of object-oriented programming. So the different phases in developing a website using this particular framework. Well, to begin with, we start with planning. We will create a project. We will then go on to the installation, which is to install the project dependencies. Then we will configure the project and then start coding. And finally will be implementation, where we start hands-on coding in the website development itself. Understanding Django. So Django is a popular Python framework. Understanding other popular frameworks like Laravel for PHP, Django design pattern is an MVT, which basically means it's a model, view, and template. The model interacts directly with the database. If you want to manipulate or present data from the database, then they are in a file that is named model.py. The view handles the request from the user and renders the relevant templates based on the request inside the view.py file. Template is a text file just the same as in HTML that contains the layout of the web page, and of course, plus the rendering logic in the template.py file. This is where our HTML files are located. That is the reason why knowledge of HTML is very important here. So how does Django work? Well, firstly, Django project received the URL request from the browser. Then it checks in the URL .py file, then makes calls to the view that corresponds to it. The view then checks the relevant models with regards to the request. Remember, the models are imported from this file, the models.py file. Then the view sends the relevant data to the template inside the templates folder. The template with Django tags and HTML returns data to the browser. So let's go over some basic Django commands that we need to be familiar with. Firstly, Django admin start project website. This command is used to create a Django project named website. cd websites. This command will take us into the website folder. website / this is the root directory. Manage.py, this is the command and utility that helps you to return commands in a Django project. Website / init -.py. This is Python package file. It's usually empty. The website / settings.py is a file where all changes or changes for your Django project are made. The website .urls.py, forgive me, website / urls.py. This is the file for declaring your project's URLs. They provide a way how to navigate throughout the page. Website / asgi.py. This is where all Django project ASGI compatible web server entry points. Website / wsgi.py, Django project WSGI compatible web server entry points, and manage.py, run server, a command that runs the Django project. So let's look at the process summary. Again, it's an introduction to Python, an introduction to Django, the PyChart IDE installation, the Django project setup and installation, and then finally a simple landing page. All right, next, let us look at how to use Django in the coding of all right, next let's have a look at some live Python coding.
Hello everybody. Thank you so much for joining once again. This is Emmanuel P. And I believe that you followed what my colleague has actually demonstrated here about Python with Django Framework, which is much more popular nowadays. So I'll actually present to you how we can develop a website, a simple website using Django Framework, and I will actually demonstrate from scratch. So what do you need to start? What do you need to get started? You need the tools to be installed in your machine. So the first tool which you need in your machine is the environment, the working environment. Mostly I use PyCharm. So PyCharm is the popular and most powerful for Python development. And I believe that you can follow along how we're going to install this PyCharm. So the simplest way is to go to your web browser and just type PyCharm. And after you get in here, you find this JetBrains, and then you click on this link. Then you go to download. And now, listen here. When you reach here, you have to make sure that you choose professional. You see, professional has got more features, like support all these HTML, JavaScript, and SQL. So if you are able to choose this one, you have to know that this is paid for, meaning to say you only have 30 days of your trial period. But then for this demonstration, you can always, or for your trials as a starter, you can always try out using this professional one. So we'll use professional and you download. Unfortunately, I already downloaded it. And after you install the whole process, you'll come to this menu where you open Django, and you will see what is there with the IDE. So I'll bring in here this IDE, as you can see. So when I say ID, I mean integrated development environment. This is just an environment which, when you're telling a computer what to do and how to do it, you need to have an environment where you can actually render your code, or you can actually code your program. So this is the IDE, which is the best for me. Others, of course, they use Visual Studio Code, but I'm using PyCharm. So you simply go to start, and then you create a project. Here, why I said that you need to use this. You see, you have a lot of frameworks for you. You can choose from. You have Django, Fast API, and then we're gonna choose Django, and we have to select the location. And in this regard, I'm gonna just name this project simple website, or I can just say my website. Okay, using Django. Simply I can just say my website, and then this will create a visual environment for us. And then we go direct to create, and it says open in this window because I was working on other projects, so it means you go to this window. Now it's creating the project for us. So let's wait a minute until it finishes. Okay, while waiting for that, you have to know that currently, if you're a Python developer, you need to know that Python is very strong currently and is most trending because of these popular frameworks. We talk about Django, which can help industries or individuals who are freelancing, and even many other companies to develop applications which have very broad, so big applications. And also Python is used in data analysis, as as my colleague has already explained. So it means for those people who are diving into Python, you have to know that this is a very perfect journey, and there's more opportunities with Python. So let's appreciate what Django can do for us. It has now finished. So you see, after using this, you have these settings and the URL already prepared for us. So this is our Django template, I can say, because a framework is just like a recipe for you to start your application. It gives you the blueprint on how you can actually develop your application. So there it is. So what we need is now to create a project. So come to this command, and right here, this is a package manager. It's what you use to write all the commands. It helps you to manage any kind of command. So what you need to do is you go to your keyboard and click at once Control and Alt, and then press R, so that it brings you this terminal. Okay, so it fetches all the commands which you are supposed to use, as you can see here. So what do we need to do now? It means we need to start a project. Okay, this is of course, if you haven't created a project yet, you can start creating a project. But now we need just to create application because we have our project created. So we need to start an application, clicking on that one, and it will create an application for us. So we have not named the application name. So the first application name we should do is, I'll just name application number 1. So as you can see that we have application number 1, this one is created for us. As you can see, we have this one created, application 1, inside the Django project. So you can see that it creates different applications. As I said earlier on, it has this kind of strength where you can partition these applications as some sibling functionalities with special attention which you can give to each of them. So we have the first application here. And now, if you look at this, you see all this has been explained already. And you also see all this has also been explained already. So now our most interest is here. First thing, we need to register the application. So we come down here. You see installed application. So we need to register this application. So we simply come down here and we say application 1. See this one? Application 1. Okay, and also we come down here for the sake of those who are using another approach, you can always set up this directory by doing this process. Just comment this out, and then you can start creating your directory like this, and then you say os.path. Make sure it's in capital small letters, path, then join, like this. So then base directory, and you need to specify that this should be templates. Remember, my colleague has explained that the architecture of Python is model, view, and template. So the template is actually the front part, which users actually see. So the view acts like the controller if it is look at into if we were to compare with other frameworks. So you will need to create these 2 folders outside here. Okay, this is the website, and then you create first folder, which will be templates. Okay, I think it's already in there. We only need to create the static now, where you keep your static files. Okay, so we have the templates and the static, as you can see here. So this is the one which we have registered. Okay, because this is where we'll have our front-end files. And now after that, we need also to come down here and to register our static files. Okay, static file directory, this one. And we do the same process which we have done on top there. os.path should be small letters, remember? Path should join, and then base directory. And then here specify that this is static. Okay, like that. So after you are done with the setup, it means this file, you're already complete with it. The settings, you're done with the settings. So let's just try to appreciate how this Django framework looks like after you run this project. So run server. Okay, so this is the URL. You see, this is how Django application looks like if you have not made any changes in the front end. This is the first front end which comes along with Django. This is how it looks like the first day. The first time you run Django application. So then, so what next now? The next thing now, we need to change the front end. We need to change the front end so that it looks the way we want. But there are different approaches. Unfortunately, we will just use what we already did in a previous webinar. We created the personal, the simple portfolio website using HTML and CSS. So we will use that front end. Other people, they just buy front end and they incorporate it with Django, but we will not buy, we will use what we already developed right here. If you didn't check what we did, you can always check through our webinars where we already did in the previous webinar resource about HTML and CSS. So now we will incorporate that with Django. But before that, let's appreciate about the URLs. I mean, the links. When we talk about the URLs, it's like the path, how your requests are gonna pass through the application. If you request this, what happens? So let's check. So you see this URL belongs to, let's check. Remember, this is our application. And now in this application, we don't have the URL. We need to register it. And here is where we have the URL, this one. You see? This is the URL. Now we will need to copy this URL and paste it in this application which we have created. Okay? Because we will have our own defined URLs in this application. So after we do that, we will need to make sure that, okay, so this is, you see, even the path is showing that it's coming from our application. These are the URLs for our application. And these are the this is the application URL, which when you run it, the time you run the project, the way you have seen it here, the URL comes along with Django. So we'll use our own URLs, but then we'll need to include it in our base URL. So this is the Django URL, and now what we need is just to incorporate this into this. How do we do that? We simply make sure that here we use include like this, and then it's a path. And now, if you write a URL with empty string, that one is the home. Like when you just run that application, it will run directly at the home. Like it's the first page. In other words, the first page which the application will look through or will run through. So it will be empty like this. Okay, so it will be include. So this include will mean we have to borrow this URL from the application. So say application one dot URLs, this one. Okay, like that. Then we are done with this. And now we come here, we make sure that we register our own URLs. So which URLs do we want? We need now to decide which URLs do we want. By the way, if we try to run this application, let's see what happens. You see, it is now complaining that it is not able to find the URL which we have specified, because it's now checking in the application which we have just specified. So now what we need to do is we go to our template. Remember, I said this is where our front end looks, I mean, this is actually displayed. So in this template, we'll create the file index.html. Okay, so this is the index.html. So hello world. This is the first thing which I'll just write, like us to write. And now let's check what is coming here. And we will need to actually verify the URL which will come here. So the first URL which will come here should be for the index. You get it, right? So as I said earlier on, that this should be like this, and then views, okay, views.index, and then name, it should be index, like this, okay. But then if you look at this, we need to import this, okay, we need to import this, because now we are using this should go because it's already there from the parent. We're only interested in our own defined URLs. So we need to import this. So it means we just need to say from dot import views, just like that. It means this will work. But now when you say views index, it means this is a function name which is defined inside the views, but we have not declared this function. We need to declare this function now. We need to create a function. So we need to go into our views in our application views. And as you can see, we don't have any of our application here. Our application function. So in Python, a function, we always start a function with a div keyword, div index. Okay, so that's a function name, div index. As you can see, div index. And now we will need to make sure that we get it from the request from the user. So the request, and then like that, and then you return, you render it out. Okay, you render, and you can wonder where this render coming from. This is what we have already imported here. So the request, okay, request, and then our HTML file. So we have index.html like this one, you see? So it means now when we are here inside the view, the function name is index, and it will check what this function returns and what function renders. It renders this page. So we are expecting to receive hello world. If you display the hello world, it means the URL works well. So let's check out. Hello world, congratulations, it works. But now we need the real page. We need the real page. So what I'll actually do, I'll just copy what we already did in the previous webinar, because we already developed this. So I will get the index file from the previous webinar and display it here. All the files will be actually displayed here. So okay. Now I'll go step by step. You see, I'll go step by step. All these are were already created. Okay, so I'll remove this so that I explain to you how all these came about when we were creating it. Okay. Now we need to try to see what is actually here. So you see, if you remember very well, this is from our previous webinar, but it's not yet styled because Django in the static file, in the static folder, that's where you have to put your files like CSS and other files which you need. Yeah, so let's go and check. So I will just put and paste all the files which we already created in our previous presentation. Okay, so I have pasted the stuff, I've pasted the files in here. I have got all these files inside the static folder. These files are coming from the folder which we created already. It's just HTML and CSS, and I have put them inside the static. All the HTML files will be inside the templates. Okay, so let's try to check if there will be any change. Yes, as you can see, everything has changed because of the style and the logos and many others. All these files are just inside the static directory. So as you can see, all these are just exactly rendered using Django. But it's just a simple application but then you see, if you click on this, it does not work. It's not working. What do we do? So what we need to do is to create the links, which I was actually removing there. So how do we create links in Django? Okay, so in Django, you need to create these as pages. As I said, these shelves are supposed to be here. So we check about here. We see we need about, info, services, and contact. So we need to create these pages. So we'll say about .html. Okay, and then we have info, HTML, and also we have services, HTML. What else do we have? Contact as well. Also have contact. Okay, and what I would do, I would just put hello, this is contact. This is contact. And here I would say hello, this is services. Okay, and then hello, this is info. And then hello, this is about us. So that when you click any of these, you'll be able to know that I'm now in another page. So that's that. Now we have to link it through. But then before you even do that, you need to create the routes, the URLs. So you need to make sure that all these are also well prepared. So you go to the views as well. And in the views, you have to make sure that you create the routes, the URLs, the functions of each of these. So the first function is the one which I've already been declared. So you have diff, and now we have about, okay? And about, we have the request, okay? Request, and then return render, like you can see. But now here's request, in this time around to be about us. So about.html, like that. The other one will also be a function, div, and this time around it will be contact, contact or info, whichever. So contact, then you'll get the request. Return render. So request. A request, and then you say contact. So HTML, like that. And then we also have div, info. So requests, return, request to return render, requests, then services. I think that's what we're remaining with now. Yeah, services. Okay, I think it is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Which one have we remained with? The index file. Index info is remaining here. So we need to finally come up with the info. So div, oh, I think we have already included the info. It should be services, which is remaining now. So this should be info. Yes. Services. Then requests. Return. Render requests. And then services like this. Okay. We have defined these views. Now we can go to our URL. So this is our application URL, and we need also to declare them here. So we get the path, and this time around it will not be empty because the path means that this should go to first one. It will be contact. Okay, it will be contact, and so the first thing it will be contact, and after we have the contact, we will need to make sure that we go to the views dot. So we'll check here. This is the contact. Get it right? And then name gives us contact. Path. And then the other one should be the info. Okay. So the info, and then views. So remember I said we're talking about a function here. So info is a function, and then name, which means info, like that. Okay. And remember you terminate them with, you put the commas here, and then you also come here, path, and you also say services, I think now. Services, views, dot services, name services, like that. What else are we remaining with? The contact services, contact services. About is now the one which is remaining. Path. And then you say about. Views dot about. Okay. And then name services, like that. So it means we are done now. If we are okay now, it means now we are done. Okay. Please take a look at the URL clearly and patiently. Take a look at how it has been rendered here. And I think this should be, because we don't have many of these, they're not inside the folders. It should be just okay. I think so. So now we have wired it, but then if we check, it will not work because we have not yet created the links. Okay. So what we need now is to create the links that when you click on about, it should take us to about page. So in Django, this is what we do to make this one work. We come to our index file. This is our index file. So this is our home, which should probably be the index. Okay, so home is probably our index, and then we start with the percentages like this, and then URL. Okay, you specify URL, and then you specify the name of the URL. This should be index. Okay, this should be the index. The index URL. Okay, so the second one should be the same approach. Okay, URL, and then you say about. But now the question is, where are these about coming from? Remember, you have declared them as names here in the route. I mean, in the URL. These are the names which we are using here. Okay, so you come here and then you specify down here. So URL and then info, like that. You come here as well. URL and then services. And then here URL contact, like that. So let's try. Remember, if we click on them, it should display something new. So you refresh the page. It says during the templating, there is an error. So it means we have an error somewhere. Okay. It means we have an error somewhere. So we need to check what is this error. It says reverse for about not found. Reverse for about not found. Let's see this reverse for about not found. Let's see. This is about. Okay. And they're saying it's not seen. Let's see it. We come here. This is about. URL about is really not seen here. You see now? So we need to create about here. Then you save. Press come again. Let's see it. It's now working. So we come to about. It says, hello, this is about us. Come here. It says, hello, this is info. Comes here, says, hello, this is services. Hello, this is contact. So we have successfully created the first application using HTML and CSS in Django application. So thank you so much for paying much of your attention and following along with me. And once again, this is Emmanuel, and I'm so happy that you have joined this. But don't forget to follow us on Facebook as well as to subscribe on our channel. You can always check all our social networks. We are always available IT Online Learning, and some of the links, you'll find them down here in this presentation. And also make sure that you follow along whatever we did in the previous webinars, because some of these are also interlinked. So hope to see you again in the next part of this Django framework, and we'll dive deeper into how this framework is actually working. Today, it was just a matter of establishing the introductory part, how it works. And yeah, so thank you so much. Have a safe, a wonderful time. Bye.